Well, hello, my brother. I'm glad you're here to visit me today. I know as I look into the screen, it's a scary image you see. But today we're going to learn about the 11th judge of Israel, and his name is Samson. And he was born miraculously. His mother was barren, and an angel of the Lord came and visited her and told her of the great miraculous event that was about to take place. If you were to turn to Judges 13, and this tells the beginning of the story of Samson, it talks about the angel of the Lord coming to visit his mother and telling her of how he must be raised as a Nazarite, and he must be from his birth till his death a Nazarite. And in the Nazarite vow, you'll find in Numbers 6, verses 2 to 6, it tells of the Nazarite vow. A man or a woman could take this vow for a period of time, and for as long as the stated period of time, they must stay away from wine or grapes or any defiled food. They would not cut their hair, and they must stay away from dead bodies. Now, we find it interesting that in Samson's case, when the angel of the Lord came in chapter 13, he never mentioned dead bodies. And I imagine this was for a purpose, because Samson, in order to subdue the Philistines, had to kill many of them. So he was around dead bodies quite often. Manoah was the father of Samson. He was from the tribe of Dan, and him and his wife were honorable people. God, even though Israel had turned largely to idols and different gods, not serving the Lord at all, God always has a remnant. And this remnant, we find that Manoah and his wife were righteous people, and so God used them in a miraculous way to bring forth the deliverance of Israel. We find that in Psalms 106, starting at verse 34, actually the whole chapter tells of Israel and how often they failed God in their journey from Egypt into the Promised Land. And in verse 34, it talks about a particular time when they entered into the Promised Land and what they were to do to subdue the inhabitants of the land. And we find out that they didn't do this. They allowed many of the people to stay in the land, and they didn't drive them all out, and this caused many problems for them, because as we find nearly every time in history, that whenever we have a corrupted people that worship idols or does not worship the true and living God, that these people will corrupt the people of God. And that's what happened to Israel. They would fall into idol worship and all kinds of evil things. They would have sacrifice of their own children to these gods. And we find that they went in a circle time and time again. And God would give them peace and prosperity. Then they would go into apathy and compromise. Then from apathy and compromise, they would fall into rebellion, paganism, famine and war would follow that, and slavery. God would allow all these things to come upon them, to judge them, to draw them back. It was a corrective process, and he would do this so that they would be drawn back into the true and living God and turn from their evil ways. But many times they would not do this until they finally fell into slavery, and it got so oppressive that they would cry out to God, and God would, because of his infinite mercy, he would deliver them once again. And that's what we're finding here with Samson and the 11th judge. And after the slavery would be followed by confession, repentance, and cry out to God. And finally God, as I said, would deliver them. And I just ask you, just to bring it into the day and the hour that we live in, does this sound like anything that is happening to us in our world today? As we allow paganism to abound in our land, as we allow more and more Muslims to enter our land, and we see people converting to the Muslim faith, this is a plague upon our land. And then we see our government allowing abortion, we see them allowing homosexual marriage, and all manner of evil. God certainly, since 2001, has given us a wake-up call, and we have not waken up to the call. So we, like Israel, will fall and be in subjection to our enemies. And if you look in Ephesians 4:14 and Mark 13:21 and 22, you're going to find that God desires that we be wise, that we have spiritual discernment, and that we would not fall into the trap of the enemy. I'm not going to turn to them right now because of lack of time. I've only got 15 minutes, and this takes a little longer than that to do. But we see that after the angel of the Lord had appeared to Samson's mother, we find that Manoah's father desired to give sacrifice to the Lord, and they asked the angel his name, and he said, it's not for you to know. It's a secret. But they did sacrifice a goat and a grain offering to him, and as the flame of the sacrifice was going up, the angel of the Lord ascended up in the flame. And this verified to them that this was truly an angel of the Lord. And Manoah thought, we have truly seen the angel of the Lord and we will die. But God had a wise and sensible woman there to set him straight. And she said basically that if he intended to kill us, he would have killed us. But we are alive and we will do as the Lord has asked us to do. The birth of Samson happens here at the end of the first chapter of chapter 13. And Samson means sun-like, S-U-N, like. And I thought that was kind of interesting. It's a natural light. It's not the Son of God light. It's a natural light. And he, like I said before, he will be a judge of Israel. And God sent the answer to the prayer in this way. He was from the tribe of Dan. His father was Manoah. And it was from a miraculous birth, and he was a Nazarite. In chapter 14, it starts off with Samson is becoming a little older now. He's more mature, and the Lord has, at times in his growing up, has come upon him, and the Spirit has begun to move in him. But we find Samson going to the Philistines for a wife. And as he goes down in the Philistine camp, we find that he has found a woman, and he goes back to his father and mother and says, get her for me. And they, like me, say, hey, can't you find a woman from Israel, from our tribes, from our people? He says that he must have this woman. So he's probably in his late 20s now or so. And so they consent, and they go with him to get this woman for him. And on the way down, he's passing by a vineyard, and a lion comes out after him. And the Spirit of the Lord comes upon him, and he tears the lion to pieces and kills the lion and leaves it lay. And he doesn't even tell his mother and father about this. And he goes on down and prepares a feast for the wedding feast. Lasts for 7 days, and then at the end of the 7 days they will consummate their marriage, and they will be husband and wife. But during the 7 days, As I said, he went to a Philistine woman, and the Philistines came and were, a lot of them there because this was their place, their land. And Samson tells them that he has a riddle for them. And this riddle, he tells them, and he says, if you can give me the answer to this riddle, I will give you 30 changes of clothes, 30 sheets. And so they accept this challenge. And but they have no way of interpreting the riddle. And the riddle, of course, is about the lion that he killed. And here we have a picture. I don't know if you can see this or not. Yes, so it's Samson killing the lion. And out of the lion comes honey. And that's part of the riddle. And the lion is strong. Out of the eater comes sweetness, and that's the riddle. But the Philistines continually, day by day, harass Samson's wife to find out the riddle so that they can win the bet. And like a nagging woman, she just keeps after him and after him, and finally on the last day, she cries and pleads with him, and he does finally reveal the riddle to her, and then she runs and tells them, and they know the riddle. And this upset Samson greatly. He says that you would never have found out this if you wouldn't have plowed with my wife. And so the Spirit of the Lord came upon him greatly, and he went to another town, Ashkelon. And there he killed 30 men, took their clothes in order to pay off these Philistines. And he did, keep his part of the bargain, but he had to kill these 30 guys and get their clothes and sheets from them in order to fulfill his obligation. And I like to work in a little word here with this teaching, and it's called temptation. And Samson had a temptation with women, as we'll find all through the story here. And this is just his first. But as we've been tempted in the last week, month, year. I'm sure we've all been tempted from time to time. And pray that the Lord will always give us a way of escape, which he says in his word he will. And Samson didn't take this way of escape, but the Lord always has a way to make his will come to pass. And his will would be that Samson would be a judge over the Philistines. He would deliver Israel. And so God was using this situation with his wife to bring about the deliverance of his people, because Samson grew angry, and like I said, he went and killed the 30 guys. Well, when he went back, after he had done all this, he returned to his wife, and his father-in-law said, well, I didn't figure you was interested. You left, and I figured you didn't want her, so I gave her to your best man. So his wife was actually given away to his best man, which was a Philistine. And this angered him even more. And this is what God used to this anger that he had, was to deliver Israel. And I see my 15 minutes is just about up, and I couldn't go any farther, but this is just the beginning of my lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that God blesses you greatly for listening to it. God bless, and have a good day.